This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com. We have two-time WWE Tag Team Champion, former AWA Champion, former Intercontinental Champion, Marty Jannetty. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, last time that Al Snow was on your show, you got the information wrong to him.
Okay.
You remember you had asked me, like, you think Marty says he slept with five? Do you think that's really true? 5,000 women? I didn't say 5,000. I said one.
1,000. Okay. You
Yeah, but
believe
you told
5,000.
Al five, and he still said, "Well, I've seen boxes and boxes of pictures, but it was 1,000." I don't want anybody to think I'm lying. The
You look,
five is just. I tell people 5,000. I mean, 1,000 was work. I mean, you had to get several. Is there people in the background?
are you being robbed?
What's that?
Are you being robbed? Is
Oh
someone
yeah. I
stealing?
mean, we are in Thugville.
So
We got
what?
we got mean mugged on the walking.
No, we lost Marty already. That's not good. He'll be back, guys. He looks good. I think this might be his most sober interview if we can get him back here. I don't know where he's gone, guys. I'm sure he's gonna be right back. There was a mysterious person that appeared in the interview, and then suddenly Marty disappeared. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully we can get him back. Always a party with Marty. Yeah, well, there, as I said, we had him. Then some. Oh, there he is.
It's gonna happen a lot.
I don't know what happened there. What happened?
I'm gonna say it's Eric's phone.
All right. Well, let's hope not. So, as far as Al Snow, what else? He was telling us.
Y'all
that-
can't. Yeah, I can't hear it all if y'all do that. What were you saying? Okay. Who's interviewing me right now?
Hannibal.
I know that part, but somebody else. Was that you? Okay. I think we're ready.
All right. So for Al Snow, are you still climbing?
Hey,
You
can
said
you
that-
hold on? Can you
Yeah.
hold on? Let me get sunglasses.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, like, are you finished at 1,000 women, or is it still climbing?
Oh, it's almost going downwards now. Yeah, it's I'm not on the road that much because of my ankle. Yeah, so there's only so many women in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, I heard a rumor.
It only takes 3 nights and you've done there.
Yeah, I heard a rumor. I won't mention her name about you and a more recent WWE diva from the 2000s. Would
From
that
the
have been a possible rumor? Like a diva that would have been in the WWE in the early 2000s.
A diva.
Yeah. That
I
may
can't
or may
think of
not-
them. Give me the initials.
I don't want to get in shit with her.
I don't either. I'll just say, even if it's true, I'll say no.
Okay.
But I'll do like this on top of my head, and that means yes. Like she can't hear that, right? Or see that. Yeah, we better leave that alone. We don't want to get no heat with nobody. There's too many more out there.
Yeah, there is. And as
But-
far as Al Snow, you were mentioning that you saw him talk about you in the interview. He was saying about all the ribs you pulled on him. Do you have a favorite rib that you pulled on Al Snow?
I think my favorite one was, we always used to do the one where the guys, how they are to wait till you're done with your shower. And as soon as you open the curtain, the cold water bucket, the ice water challenge shit. And that too, sometimes you dump it over. They're not expecting it, ice cold water. But I used to, I get bored easily. That's just ADD, HDDH. And so a lot of times I would, that was my go-to. Like, wait, soon as you hear the water go off, because he'd always forget to lock the door. Until after a while, he'd lock it. He made sure he locked it. But then I knew how to pick the thing, and so he wasn't expecting it. And wham, every time. So one time he left to go down to the lobby, and I'm in the shower. If I only see me, does that mean it disconnected? Hello?
I'm there. I just took it out so you didn't have to see me shaking my head up and down.
Why were you shaking your head up and down anyway?
All right, I'll stare blankly.
You've changed, brother.
Yeah.
So this one time Al goes down to the lobby for something other, and I forgot why, and so that was my perfect opportunity. I got the sink was out by the thing. I got a bucket of ice. But anyway, he came back in. I left out in the bathroom. I left the door cracked an inch, and I was like, "Oh no! Oh shit!" And he goes, "What?" I can hear him right out there. And I'm like, man, don't do it, bro. I'm sorry, man. Damn. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I didn't lock the door. And he looks and he sees this cracked a little bit. He goes, oh, okay. Oh, then I hear him filling the cups of water, right? Like he's going to get me. I'm like, please, no, Al, I won't get you no more. No, he goes, too late now. And he pushes the door open. And I had a bucket of the ice water over the door ledge. When he opens the door, pow, is all over him, and it's perfect. It's just streaming down. He's standing there with 2 cups of water, and the disappointment, the no look on his face. He goes, why do I even try? And he took the water he had for me and dumped him over his own head. And that was one of my favorite because you got conned into getting got.
What about the one?
It's silly, but sometimes it's what we have to do, like to break the monotony on the road, especially like 300 days a year. You know, it was just 300 days a year, but sometimes it was 325, 330 shows because of the double shots. You know, did you have to do that when you were there?
No, I was not in there. I'm only a reporter. I never
okay.
got in there. I wasn't good enough.
No, you were good enough. You're just it wasn't your time yet.
Yeah. There's a fan on here that says he saw a lot of matches of you guys and the Powers of Pain. Did you guys call that in the ring, or did you talk about it in advance?
No, you just go with it because they're so big. They're going to do what they want to, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. But we kind of got like a routine, not necessarily a routine that we strictly did that, because every crowd's going to be different, and if you just stick to one routine, what works in Philadelphia may not work in Chicago, and what works in Chicago may not work in LA. So you gotta. That's the problem with pre-calling this shit, and having the whole match set up. Is if they're not buying it, you're fucked. Oh yeah, can I cuss? That was an accidental cuss.
I don't mind if you cuss.
Well, let me hear you say cuss. Fuck.
I'll say cuss.
Yeah, all right. I'm not gonna cuss no more. I'm sorry about that one. No, sorry, y'all. Right. Fan bill.
No, it's all right. As far as when you wrestled with the Quebecers, Carl Ouellette was telling me you used to make fun of Jacques a lot.
He used to play, and one thing, I love him to death. I love both of them, Raymond too. One thing that Jacques hated the most, I mean, he hated when I would say, "Hey, Jacques," and he was like, "Oh man, that's not my name." I said, "I know it's not," and he goes, I said, why does it bother you? I'm just exaggerating your name. He goes, it sounds like you're hocking up and you're going to spit. I said, yeah, I guess you're right. And so I said, I won't do it that much anymore. He goes, no, don't do it at all. So whenever I would, like we'd be in the ring, only ringside people can hear you, but I'd say from across the ring, I'm like, hey, yah, I'm going to come over and arm drag me. No, I'll arm drag you. Yah. Or you hear him, and he would just put his head down and shake and be so disgusting. But that's about the only ribs because, I didn't want him to Dynamite Kid me.
Yeah. You were there for that, weren't you?
I was in the ring when it happened. When I say in the ring, not for a match. Sean and I was out there doing what we always would do, thinking about Shawn Michaels. I don't know if y'all know that guy. He goes by HBK and the Showstopper. We used to tag, so as the Rockers, just giving them a background, the backstory, because they may not know who he is, but they know me, of course. But
Hey,
so
you still
we
have
were
your
in the
hair, at
ring.
least. You gotta love that you still have your hair and he's lost his.
Oh man, that's horrible for you to say. I bet you won't take that skull cap off.
No, I'm in the same category as him. You're
I
lucky.
didn't know that. I'm sorry I said that now.
Yeah.
I was just kidding. But
It's
ain't nothing
okay.
wrong with being bald. A lot of girls say this bald is beautiful because I think it reminds them of the tip of a dick. But I'm not sure about that either.
I thought
But
it was
I
the mushroom cut. The mushroom
what's
cut.
that?
Remember the mushroom cut that people had in the 90s?
Yeah, I was there. I remember, but I kind of. Yeah. Was that like the picnic tabletop, like the black guys were wearing it flat, and then it kind of dropped?
Yeah.
Bad News Brown called it a picnic table
Okay.
because it
Yeah. Billy
because
Jack
it was
Haynes
flat.
has it now. Yeah.
Oh, Billy Jack,
Yeah,
how's he doing?
He's doing great. Other than his wife's ill, sadly. He's got a wife.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry to hear that. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. I should have called. I didn't know what I called him and said sorry.
Did you know him? Were you friends with him?
Yeah, we were involved with that CTE lawsuit. He's the one that got me in. I didn't want to be a part of it, but I think I might have talked about that on your show before.
I don't think you did.
Well, it had to do with the ankles, and I called up. Remember, they have the wellness program where the guys that are, need to go through rehab for drugs, recreational or whatever drugs. But my brother's the one that actually told me. He goes, "Would you please call them and tell them your ankles are what needs fixing? To go there for for pain pills because I was taking a lot of them." He said, "I'm worried you're going to be the next victim that I have to hear about my brother OD'd." And he said, "Why don't you call them and ask them? They'll fix your ankles. Going to rehab is not going to fix the source." And that's what rehab's all about, is finding out what's the source of your problem that, you want to do these things or so much or whatever. And so I thought, I guess you're right, because nothing against these are my guys. I love Jake the Snake, and I love, Scott Hall, rest in peace. I love Sonny, rest in jail. I love everybody. They were getting put through rehab 10 to 12 times. I mean, so I figured, okay, I'll ask them if they can just fix my ankles rather than send me to rehab, because that's not going to fix, the source of the problems.
Right.
I said rest in jail. I think she's actually in prison, so it'd still be RIP. But so, I'm sorry, Tammy. Love you. Loves you. Did you see that Dark Side of the Ring with her and Chris a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I did. But you want to finish? I'll ask you about that. But finish your story. Why wouldn't they give you the ankle?
So on that, yeah, I skip a lot. Where'd my co-host go? For my show, for my podcast. Party with Marty's going to be a podcast soon.
Oh, cool.
My goal is to be almost as good as yours. When I don't think I got the money for that, but I'm more, that's a goal to set, because if I come close, then it's going to be decent. When I did the first,
that's the mushroom cut, by the way.
Yeah, I did. When you do that, like a cutaway like that, do you already have to have it set?
No.
Well, we talk about.
I looked it up to show you what I'm talking about.
Oh, so you're right there. You can type away and pull some. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, you got to teach me some tricks. I was mostly impressed by your 48 cameras on that one little reel, the straight across reel, or whatever you would call it. Man, I love that. But that's got to be some money. And then when I saw my interview with you, it was like you could cut from the side view while I'm talking, and 2 views at one time. It's like, wow, man, this is better. I ain't seen nobody else with that setup. It had to be some money, but it's got to be worth it, right?
I think that one got well over 100,000 views, so that one was pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about your production end of it. On the railing thing with 3 cameras. That is freaking great. I've not seen anybody else with that.
So why didn't they give you?
Oh yeah, so sorry. I won't say Ann Russo's name, but the person that was in charge of the wellness system program. I knew her well. We were friends, and I told her, I said, look, I mean, can you fix my ankles? My doctor, ankle surgeon, is one of the best. Lee McCluskey, he's one of the best in the world. He studied under Dr. Andrews, and everybody knows him. And Lee had told me, and we played football together in high school and college. So, I call him Lee, and I feel bad when I'm in the doctor's office, and I'm like, Lee, and I'm like, shoot, Dr. McCluskey.
Yeah.
Wanting to be respectful around all the other people that he's doctor to. He's doctor to me. But what was I saying about Andrew? Oh yeah, he told me he had seen him, and he goes, God, you got the ankles of an 80-year-old, and he goes, you need to get them. We need to get them soon. I said, well, I got to get the right insurance. He goes, you don't need to pay me. He said, but the hospital, that's a separate charge. And he goes, and I'll make sure they'll make a payment plan for you. So I had told them that, and I said, it won't be that much. I mean, I won't have to. I mean, y'all spend more on rehab for Scott Hall going every other month than that. And she had said, and I said also, you can take it out of my royalty checks because what y'all made on me last quarter would pay for it. What they make because it shows the breakdown, itemized, like what they sold, how much they got, how much they gave you, which is minimal. And I don't want to burn no bridges with them like I got one. But she has said the final thing was she said, and I don't mean she because I didn't say Ann Russo's name, right?
No,
I don't want to say a name who was in charge, but
I think you got concussion issues anyway, so it's hard to remember.
Who does? Yeah.
We both do actually.
But you got CTE?
I got memory problems due to too many concussions.
Well, that's almost the same thing, I guess. RVD, Rod Van Dam, he was telling me one time, he goes, I don't think he got CTE. Him and I are pretty good friends. And he'll shoot straight usually. I say usually because I don't know when he doesn't. But he told me, he goes, I don't think you got CTE because usually CTE, they can't put a sentence together or they're very cognitive. And I mean, he could be right. There's 13 known symptoms as of now. It might be more as of last time. The attorney that I went with, I had 10 of the 12, and I was telling my attorney, I said, I don't have the one where mood swings. And my girlfriend pops up right away. She goes, yes, you do. So I said, okay, I got 12 of the 13. The only one I don't have is suicidal thoughts. And that one, a few weeks later, that one started changing. But so anyway, she is whoever it was had said that, Marty, you got a very valid point. But if we were to do that for you, it would open the floodgates to help everybody else. And I just thought that's a shitty damn thing to say. All these people that made y'all money and gave their life, and I mean, you don't want to open the floodgates for fixing them. If they're making the money like y'all made last quarter of me, damn sure should fix them. According to what they're,
Yeah.
But that was when I said, to hell with that. I'm joining that CTE lawsuit. I never wanted to, but it was just because I had, like, she even agreed if it was a she, and these days you can't tell, but but if it was a situation of it would open the floodgates. I even said, look, I'll sign a no disclosure or whatever it's called, confidentiality, where I ain't got to tell nobody, but as my brother said, my brother don't want to read me into obituaries tomorrow over something that could have been avoided. So,
yeah.
But that was the whole CTE reason. I didn't like it because I don't know. It just seems weird. You're in pro wrestling. You don't think you're going to, that's like boxing. You don't think you're going to get a couple good shots.
But yeah, it's true. Billy Graham had to beg fans to pay for his medical bills, and he never used the rehab either, but they wouldn't pay for his hip surgery. So it's the
Billy Graham, wasn't that a preacher?
The wrestler. The
There was a
wrestler.
Billy Graham wrestler. You talking
Yeah,
about
there
Mike
was.
Graham?
No, well, he was related. He
Uh,
was related in wrestling to Eddie Graham.
Oh, okay.
He was a
That
world
Graham family.
Yeah, they had the same problem. Anyways, about Sonny Dark Side of the Ring. What did you
Yeah.
think about it?
I thought it was. I mean, I found out a couple of things. Generally it's your friends. You know everything of the ones I've seen. I've only seen like 5 or 6 episodes. I don't know how many they've had. That we're season 4, so I mean, and there's 10 episodes, so they must have a few. But I've seen 6, and man, most of them I learned a lot. That like, wow, I didn't know that. Wow, like. Um, with the Sonny and Chris one, I knew pretty much all of it. And some people complained, how they made her look bad. No, if they could have, they wanted to, they could have really made her look bad because they held back. I know it was bad enough, but it could have been way, way, way worse, and that's just the shit I know.
Tell
That
us
just
something
cuts
that you know on her. Tell us something that you know about her.
about Sonny.
Sonny, yeah.
Let me think. I don't want to. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to rat out or talk shit. But I just thought the time in Australia that she came out of the bathroom in the bus all gooped out, and the syringe was hanging in her arm still. But I think it was Newbane back then that the boys were all into. Everybody was doing it in the intramuscular. And some would bang it, run it in the vein, and I guess it hits you probably because it hits you so fast, because it's direct main vein. But not for myself, that was a no, man. I'll just do without the. For me and a couple others, it would be like to go work out because you can work out. There's no lactic acid. There's still lactic acid buildup, but you don't. It doesn't that burn. You don't get it, so you can just keep going. Extra reps. But and then also for pain. I mean, I don't know any wrestler that's not in pain after his match, except for when Nikolai Volkov was alive. Nikolai, rest in peace, is another good friend. But I mean, you can't really be in that much pain if you don't. He used to take what we call the kickstand bump, where he'd throw one leg under, go down to his hip, roll down to his shoulder, and then take the bump, like throw his arms down. It's like, gosh, damn, can you do that in any more slow motion? Couldn't make it slower.
I gotta ask you if Sonny was one of the 1,000.
I don't mind telling you no. And it's not that it couldn't have been, and it's not that it wasn't offered. I hate to say it that way, but I mean, to me, it's not that I don't think she's a pretty girl, and it ain't like I didn't hear her next door quite a bit. When I say next door, the room next door, I would hear her, and I even thought that, excuse my language, but I even thought it would be improper to jack off listening to her because because it was Chris's girl, so right. I mean, and I liked Chris so much that that was just something that would never happen, not just with them. I mean, that's just, I mean, I ain't got many morals, but one of the boys' girl, no, I can't do that. And married women, that's, I can't, I can't do. I don't have many morals, like I said, but those are no-nos to me, and always will be.
There's a fan on here that wants to know if you have a story about the Ultimate Warrior getting lost on his way to the gym. Have you ever heard?
Yeah, in Detroit. Yeah, we were. We all the guys know where the gyms are. If you don't, you ask one of the boys, and Warrior. We was just going to the gym. It was right up the street from the hotel that we all, when I say we all, most of us stayed at. And for my Detroit people there, it's I can't remember, Moon Road. No, that's Pittsburgh. Man, the roads. You don't even know the name of it. We're heading to the gym. It was like a mile down the street from us, and here comes Warrior. How you it turned around, and got in front of us, turned around, and going down the street, he gets pulled over. The police pulled him over, and he he jumped out of his car and went that that wild look he has, like when you go to the ring, running down to the police car, right? And he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? I'm late for the gym." And the policeman's so scared, he's like crouched in his car, and he cracks the window a little bit. He goes, you were going the wrong way on a one way." And then the Warrior didn't figure he was doing anything wrong. So he was attacking a police car. He was just so high strung on everything. I love him to death, but he was a bit crazy.
As far as your dark side of the ring, I know you're not allowed to talk about it.
It's not that I'm not allowed to. It's just why talk about it, and then there's no reason to watch it.
But did they follow you around for like 3 or 4 days? Could you just tell us a bit about like what's so special about it?
Yeah, we actually, it was we were going to interview for a couple hours and do on locations around town, like some of the stories I had told, like go take shots of it. And the interview, just talking itself, like what me and you are doing right now, it was like that lasted, like the first day that lasted like 4 or 5 hours. And I mean, it goes by fast. Like with me and you, it seems to go by fast. I guess when you're enjoying it or you're getting into it, and you look up and it's like, damn, and we wasn't even finished. They were like, yeah, we still got a whole lot of material here that we was going to ask you. So we did a day 2. We figured we would wrap it up, get the other half, and then go back on the locations like they wanted to. Well, day 2 was a repeat of day 1, and we went like so long, and they're like, okay, we got to stop now. And we looked up at the time like, holy shit. So, I mean, we had like maybe 8 hours of talking, interviewing, stuff. And they said, would you do one more day? Would you do a third day and go around town? And so they said, no more interviewing. So we'll just go around town and get shots, locations. And for some reason, one of the places we went was a bowling alley.
Yeah.
and we went by my high school, I think. And the one girl in town that used to be a he was a she way before anybody else had started doing that, at least in Columbus, Georgia. And that really was all they had. There was one area I had told them a story about, some things that went wrong. And it was in a neighborhood that, might not be the best, because the last time American Journal went through there, I think I talked about that on your show, but went through there, the van got stopped, and I was able to get away from them, and I come back later, like, to thank the guys for all I needed is a block them because they're following me, and I'm trying to get to the gym. I talk about the gym a lot for no built, but shit, man, I've lost so much since this sickness I got, this sepsis shit. But yeah, and so when we went back, when I went back, this was another time, to say, hey, thanks for blocking them off. They come running up the side of the car with cameras and all kinds of microphones and the whole equipment from the van. I'm like, oh my God, what did y'all do? Like, hey, Marty, we got some stuff out of there. Oh man, did you hurt anybody? They're like, no, we ain't hurt nobody. But yeah, so I told them about that Dark Side crew. And by the way, I love them to death, every one of them. Tara, I work with closest. Sweetheart, and very good at they're all very good at what they do. I enjoyed, and the feedback was they enjoyed working with me too, so that was cool. But
I worked with them too.
What I was going to say though,
episodes this year too, the July 25th episode. So
say again.
I worked with them too this year. I'm in the Abdullah the Butcher episode.
Oh yeah. That's July 25th.
Yeah, I don't know. I could look up when yours is.
I think it's August 8th.
August 8th. There you go. You're the main event. You're the last match. I
feel good about that. It's been so long since I've been main event at anything except, at parties with a lot of girls and guys and what do they call it, orgies. I don't do that shit anymore because I'm kind of getting old.
You guys closed the show though, because didn't most of the time Macho Man or Hogan want to go before the main event?
Yeah, that was yeah all the time because they want to get out because they'll get mobbed at the end. Whereas, like I think I told you, Madison Square Garden, we would park at the Ramada Inn, which was up the street, and get in the ambulance to go there, just so that they didn't see you because they knew they could see in you if you didn't have tinted windows in New York. I don't know if you're allowed to have tinted windows, but whatever the case, they would notice you because you got to come through them and go down a ramp or whatever. And you got to go through them. If they notice you, you're stuck there for a while. And if you don't, like if you keep edging up, they'll start beating on the car and rocking the car. So they would take us in the ambulance to get in and to get out, like at the end of the night. But finally, the fans caught on to that. Like, okay, that ambulance is the guys. They just didn't know which ones were in there, but it would be so late. They knew, well, it had to be the guys in the last match, So they was even the ambulance would start getting rocked sometime. But yeah, so Hogan and Macho and Warrior and them, sometimes they didn't want to get bothered with that, so they would flip them down to the match right before intermission, because the match after intermission, that's the real popcorn match because people are not even back yet from concessions or bathroom or whatever. So anyway, yeah, we got flipped and we were main event by proxy. I don't know if proxy is the right word, but we were the main event because they didn't want to go on last and be caught and all that shit. They would go out early. When you go out before the show was over, you didn't have to worry about nothing because they're still at the show. But when you would last one, you're gonna have problems. I mean, you still got to the Ramada in one piece and get in your ride and get the hell everywhere you're gonna go. But yeah, so we got to be main event by default. That's probably a better way. By default, we got to be the main event.
When you guys were at your peak, what's the most women you were with in one day? When you guys,
a lot of the guys say whatever number they want. For me, I think it was 3. I know the guy. I think after 3 it's disrespectful.
Yeah. And what's this story about you stealing the WWE bus in Europe that got you fired? One of the times you got fired.
Well, it was I had good reasoning because the driver was, I don't know. I think that at first it was just the air brakes were tight or whatever because when he would slow down, it was like all of us would be jerking, and we're like, "Hey man, easy on the brakes." And I think because we said that, he went a little harder, like wham, wham, hitting the air brakes. And Roddy Piper, got rest his soul, he said, he asked the guy nicely, he goes, "Sir, could you please stop hitting the brakes so hard?" And I think the guy actually think he started doing it on purpose from that point on, which now it pissed us off because he's disrespecting Roddy directly. And Pat Tanaka, one of my best friends, he was sitting right next to me, and I was like, "I'm gonna get him." And Pat's like, "Nah, just let it go." "No, I'm gonna get him." And I didn't have no idea how. And we're in Europe. I think it was England actually, and I guess that's Europe. But so we had to stop, like in the middle of nowhere. One of the M's, like over here, it's interstate. There's an M, which I think stands for motorway. M63 or wherever the hell it was. I knew where the hotel was from there, but we all got out to pee on the side of the road. Coming back from the show, like 2 or 3 in the morning, or if that late, but it was late, and so everybody got back on, and because I was telling them, hurry, 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 and one of them, I'm not gonna mention his name, he takes 30 minutes to pee. He stands there and pees forever. I was like, "No, man, just wait, we'll be back at the hotel in a minute." He goes, "Not with this guy." I said, "Don't worry about that." I got behind the wheel. He was still out. The driver was still pissing. I got behind the wheel. I put it because I know how to drive. I drove a tractor trailer truck before I got into wrestling. So left his ass on the side of the road and got us to the hotel. that, but I think he deserved that. Don't you agree? He was
Yeah,
fucking with the boys.
yeah, yeah. That wouldn't happen nowadays because people would film it and there'd be evidence
Oh
that he was
yeah,
doing that.
there's so much worth. There's so we go as like double-edged sword,
Yeah.
just or double loss or whatever you call it. Catch 22. You can't win because there's a lot of things that would have been nice if we had the cameras, and there's a lot of things. Thank God you didn't have camera phones.
Is it true Pat Patterson personally fired you over that bus thing?
No, I didn't get fired for that at all. I got fired
Oh,
for other things, but not that.
so that's a fault. We're clearing something up here. You did not
You,
get fired over that.
yeah, you'd be surprised how many false rumors are out there.
Is it true you hold the well now that the Sheik is dead? You definitely
He
might
can
hold
never
it up.
come back and beat me now.
No,
And
because you know, yeah.
and I hate saying it that way, because I love him to death, and he's gone. Man, that was sad for like a week. I mean, it still holds a place in my heart. So I say you're sad for a week, but that was just devastating, because that's my boy, man, and that was devastating for a while. There's a few of them that were like Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. That one really hurt bad because for one thing, he was like our teacher. And I don't want to put that on him. He's got family, never mind. But he just knew how to mix the stuff. And in fact, he had a cocktail he called because it had different colors in it. And it was something bring you down, something to bring you up, something to keep you right in the middle. But it was different colors. He goes, rainbow stew. Have you had your rainbow stew? But he knew what all the right combinations were, including way back when we used to do cocaine. I mean, we don't do it that much anymore, but so back then he was our teacher, and so that was another shocker to hear that was involved, or it could have been. Man, that was just like that's a rough one. That's like your teacher that taught you how to do this stuff so good that died from it. Plus, we just loved Kurt to death. Kurt was our boy, man. When he got on the booking staff, I don't know if you call it staff, but in the booking room or booking agent in WCW, he was one. He was for the boys. He stood up for the boys. Where a lot of them become company people, he stood up for the boys, and we loved him even more for that.
Yeah, I've heard Bret Hart say a story that like George Steele was literally doing coke with the boys one week, and then the next week he's an agent ratting everyone out. Did you notice that with some of these guys as well, or is Bret
Not
exaggerating there?
I never knew George did coke, but I mean I don't doubt it. And rest in peace, George. I love him. Um, yeah, I never knew him. That don't mean it didn't happen. I never knew him to.
He
I,
doesn't look
I
like the
I
type
know
that
this. What's that?
he doesn't seem like the type that would, and I'm not
No, I
hating
mean,
anyone that does, but he just doesn't seem like the type.
yeah, I mean, now to see him drink a beer was fun. Like, now George is having a beer, but I can't imagine him smoking weed or Philly blunt or a line of coke. I mean, I'm not saying no, it didn't happen because I don't know. I just never saw it.
As far as the rumors about Sean and Pat Patterson, do you think there's anything to those rumors?
I mean, I never saw it.
Yeah. But he just liked you guys, right? He was a fan of your work, and he was
Who?
one of
Pat?
yeah.
Yeah, he was, and I mean, Pat knew his shit. I liked Pat a lot. I didn't go that far. I got nothing against that. That's just not my thing. You know, but he knew his shit. That's why he was able to keep going. He was able to adjust with the times. The wrestling changes. It wasn't like Bruno San Martino days where you just get a headlock and maybe a slam, and make a match of that. Shit evolves, and Pat was able to be one of those people that evolved with it, and then even taught you into the new style. He was that good. So I really like Pat. As far as like what you said with Sean, I get asked that a lot, and a couple guys don't believe me when I tell them. It's like I'll just say one, like Ricky Morton. He goes, "Man, you know he does." I'm like, I don't, Ricky. He goes, "You're his best friend. You know it." And I never seen him put a dick in his mouth. I've never heard him talk about it. I mean,
What about Jim
that's not to
Powers?
say he didn't, but I actually don't think so. But because that's my buddy, that's my partner, that's my brother, that's. But I mean, if he did, he did. He didn't do it in front of me, so I didn't have to be embarrassed.
What was the rumor with Pat and Jim Powers? Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, it was funny. I forgot how it all went, but basically, Jimmy was it was propositioned, and it was just to lay there on his back, not to do anything. Just basically, I'm not going to say this, but basically, all he had to do was get a blowjob, and of course, he turned it down. And then, Jimmy and I are great friends, and we used to travel the road together then. And he was like, because Jimmy was good, a good worker, and very good, and built good looking guy. He had everything going. And I asked him one time, I said, I wonder why they're not using you better. I mean, you got the looks, you got the charisma, you got everything. And he goes, I think it's about that time I didn't do that. And he goes, man, if I just had it to do over. Second guess not laying there and taking one. Not taking one, backside. I mean, just getting blown.
What's this wolf character that people are asking about? The wolf.
The wolf passed away, but that was my cat, and he was a wisdom guru. He used to come tell me, let me know stuff that I thought I knew. I was kind of smart. Shit, I learned so much from the wolf. He was wise beyond his 9 cats' lives, but he finally wasn't. He didn't beat Father Time though. That one got him.
Yeah, I got my dog that's like that.
Hey, what's his name?
Piper.
Piper?
Yes.
Like Roddy?
Yes.
Does he wear a skirt?
Yes.
I would say because if he wears the skirt, he can still poo poo. Sometimes they put diapers on them. They can't poo poo if they got a diaper on.
You told us the story about Piper breaking up your fight with Sean, that time. Do you have any other stories about Piper you could tell us?
Let me think. It was something in Ireland, but I can't remember what it was. It had to do with him taking up for one of the boys, and he punched somebody out in like 1 second. But I can't remember the whole story, so ain't no sense in telling half of it.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're partying with.
Well, not only when you couple that and then getting older, like I'm starting to get old. Gosh, the memory cells. That's why I'm finishing my book up. I'm hoping for my book to come out right around the same time. I got 2 new action figures coming. Two different companies, not with the same company. I got lucky on that. But 2 action figures, the what do you call it? Dark Side of the Ring. I'm kicking off my own podcast, Party with Marty, and but so I'm wanting that book, everything coming at least close. You're not going to get the release date on everything on the same day, but if it's in the same time frame, one helps the other.
Did you hear they might be bringing 123 Kid into AEW? Maybe there's a chance AEW is going to fix up your ankle and bring you back for one last run.
No, I didn't hear about the kid, but I saw him the other day. He was a good-looking kid when he was, and I ain't saying he's, I was looking at him like that, like, hey, good-looking kid over there. But he was getting as many women, or more, actually more than I was at our little run through. And I saw him on some show. It wasn't wrestling. It was, some kind of show. And damn, he looks different now. Have you seen him lately?
Not really. Not for about 4 or 5 years.
And that's about how long ago I saw him in person.
Yeah.
And in that, a lot happened in that 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Well, I hope he gets the job or whatever. Apparently, Billy
Yeah,
Gunn.
me too. He's a great guy, super guy, man,
Yeah.
and he's very knowledgeable in the business.
Luke Bushwhacker Luke, whose partner just passed away recently. He was
Yeah.
telling me a story that you had somebody die in your house about 7 or 8 years ago. Is that true?
No, it was way longer than 7 or 8 years ago. But that was an accidental OD.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's
did say you had
way
nothing.
different than the bowling alley.
Yeah, no. He said you had nothing to do with it, but he said that was something that probably you've had a lot of stuff in your life to deal with over the years.
Yeah, more than my share. I mean, sometimes I brought shit on myself, and that's part of having ADHD. You get bored so easily, that you got to make your own fun. And sometimes it's mischief. It's just mischief. It was never anything serious. Never robbed nobody, never shot nobody, never uh, whatever serious things. It's all just cutting up fun kind of shit. Got drunk a couple times, and even that you're having fun. So it was never mean shit. You know.
As
Malicious. It was always mischief.
Yeah, you're actually one of the nicest guys in wrestling, and I've been in the business for 20 years, and I can honestly say you're one of the nicest people in wrestling.
Well, thank you, brother. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Coming from you, a man of integrity, I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Now, when I interviewed Tracy Smothers, another guy that sadly passed away, he was saying he thought Sean may have
Yeah.
held a grudge against him from when you guys
He
worked
might have
for the
done what?
that Sean might have held a
He,
grudge against him in WWE for the heat that him and Bob Armstrong's kid had with you guys back when you were working for the Fuller territory. Do you remember any heat from those days?
um, not with Bob Armstrong's kid. I mean, Sean was kind of rude to Bob. I mean, not badly. What the? I mean, I guess this is what you're talking about. Hey, real quick. Hey, can somebody get me a glass of water, like a half a glass or something? Sorry about that. Um,
All good.
we were working for Birmingham, whatever it was called, Continental Wrestling, I think it was, and that was only because we just got fired at WWF for that one day. The whole story with one day, but so we were down, and some new owners bought out the Fullers. I think owned it. Robert Fuller and Ron. Thank you, sir. And I promise this is not vodka. No, I shouldn't promise, but
That's all right.
so yeah, I don't really want to say anything ugly about anybody, but Sean just made a mistake. It was kind of a bad one, but so that day, I think, or was it day, because there was TV taping, and the new owners came in and like, who did this, or who is Shawn Michaels, and Sean said me, and they said some things, and Sean's like, fuck you, what do you know about wrestling? You just bought the place, you don't even know shit about it. You don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. That night, Bob Armstrong pulled us aside and he goes, hey man, the guys want you to finish up in 2 weeks. And Sean said, fuck it, we quit now then. And so that was that. Yeah, that stuck by Sean's side. I mean, I knew it was I say his fault, but people don't understand, like, when you're a team, if one does something, they both did. It's like, did the Rockers win or the Rockers lose? Or, it's not, did Marty lose or did Sean lose? So, and I told Sean that in clubs. When we went to clubs, he would be kind of cocky and arrogant. And, I told him, please stop doing that. When you do that shit, I get blamed too. And that did happen quite a lot. In fact, I was the first one to ever win the Money in the Bank. and I had to steal it. It was after the banks were closed. But it was the rockers, who still robbed the bank. So it's always teamwork. It's always a team effort. And I mean, when they don't say, well, Marty won the match. It's the rockers won.
Right.
I forgot what we were talking about. I forgot the question.
Well, you answered the question about what the situation was in Continental.
Oh yeah, that was it. I didn't know that. I don't know what it was about the Suns because we got along with all of them, even Sean.
Because Tracy Smothers said that when he was in WWE as Freddie Joe Floyd, that he felt that Sean treated him like crap, and he said he thought it may have been heat stemming from
that, and that could have been, because Sean admits back then. He was a handful to everybody, to anybody, even Vince, even his boy toy owner. But he's got better sense, a lot better. I mean, the Sean of today is not the Sean of yesterday. Well, none of us are, of course. But I mean, what a difference! What a pleasant difference,
When was the last time you ran into him?
In the car, or I mean,
yeah, no, when was the last time you saw him?
Shit, I think about probably. Well, I haven't done much, because of these ankles and trying to battle the sepsis lately. I've not been on the road hardly at all much in over about a year. 2 years. So I think it's been 2.5, 3 years since I've seen him in person. And it's always the same when we see each other's, hug and how you been and all that, and we talk, and that's about it. We might text once in a great while, but we don't really ever. Well, he stays, that he stays so busy. I don't know. I don't think he's got. I don't know.
I think he's in charge of NXT now or something.
Yeah, that's imagine how time consuming that is.
Yeah.
At one time he was doing the hunting show, the religious show, and his wrestling stuff, and man, it's hard enough just doing any one of those. So he stays super busy, and would, like you said, working kind of, from what I understand, pretty much running NXT. Gosh, that's time for you. When you got time to breathe,
Would you have imagined that when you guys started together that suddenly he gets all this? Now, like in 2023, he's one of the most powerful people in the WWE.
I wouldn't have thought that part, but I know that I would have known that he would be in the position of running a company, a big company, not an independent one, a big one. Because I mean, he was talented. I mean, I taught him pretty much all he knows. So how was he not going to go to the top? But the power part, which that he does have the power, and I don't think he abuses it from the feedback I get, because everybody always, comes back and tells me everything about Sean, and it's like, I don't know why they're telling me, like, what you want me to do?
Yeah, maybe.
But it's all good shit, most of it, and so but I'm happy for him. He deserves it because he listened to me when I would teach him stuff. He listened to me.
Yeah, he's done a great job. You got to get.
Lost the volume.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Just keep talking. What about now?
Hello?
What about now?
Hey, Eric. Oh, there you are. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
Lost you for a second. Sorry about that.
You have sepsis now. What is that? Is this serious?
It's a blood infection. I'd gotten joint replacement in one ankle, in the right ankle, and reconstructive surgery on the left ankle. And, it took for Lee, my doctor, he didn't want to do them both together. He says it's just, he doesn't do that because it's too much strain on the body. And me being almost 175 years old, he thought it might even be harder for that reason. And so he said, what I'll do is stagger them, and I'll do one. And he said, generally, I want 6 to 8 months for my patients before I'll do a second one. He goes, I know how hard, like I said, we played football together in high school and college. He goes, I know how hard you'll work to rehab it. He goes, I'll do yours in 4 months. The first one, after I got, and I had it ready in 3 months. And because he do it the follow-ups, and he was like amazed at it. He goes, I don't think I've ever seen one heal that fast from the reconstructive. He said, I'm actually going to ask around, because they have meetings with doctors all around the country, and he goes, I think you set the record for that. And so then he said, okay, I'll go ahead and do the other one. And now that he was convinced it was ready to go, and we got the other one. That was joint replacement. That was probably even faster, but right at 3 months. So after 6 months, I had both ankles were good to go. And of course, I mean, they wasn't as good as they're going to get. I still had to work my way back into shape, and then strengthen them and tighten them and making them, where I could do anything but jump off top ropes. My doctor said, he goes, look, I'm gonna fix you where you can walk with no pain. But he said, but please do me a favor and stop jumping. No jumping off top ropes. So I mean, I promised him that, and I haven't since. But so we were rolling along. Everything was good. I moved to Jacksonville, where my intent was to open a wrestling school there. And once it got going, moved down to Clearwater, Tampa Bay area, and open one there, and make it, not trying to mess with WWE school or nothing, but not everybody can afford their prices, so I was going to make it a little more affordable. I'm not going to have the whole complex, compound like they have, but I mean, I know the things to get somebody where they need to be, and they may just not have the money. So, I'm going to be, that was my intent. And, something went wrong on the way to that place. I'm an insomniac, and basically what happened one night, I had our sponsor, our big sponsor, I'm not going to say who it was, major corporation. Something happened, it fell through, so there went to school in Jacksonville, Florida. So I went ahead and all right, let's go, set the one up in Clearwater, St. Pete area, and moved down there. And one of those insomniac night, I went for like 4 days with no sleep, and there was no drugs involved. It was just straight, I'm an insomniac, which a lot of us wrestlers know too. When you travel the world in different time zones all the time, it's just hard for your body to know, oh, okay, this is when I go to bed. But so, yeah, I was on day 4, and I was staying in an apartment temporarily, and it was more like a resort hotel type thing. I mean, it had a kitchenette. It was definitely just it was a very nice hotel room. And waiting into the place the house I was going to move into for it to open. And I remember it was time to start moving. It was time to go. It was available. And a couple of friends I was waiting on that was going to help me. I mean, I didn't need a whole lot of, help, but I needed some. And like I said, man, and I was working out good. The sled, the push, where you sit and push the flat plate, the press, the lunges, not lunges, press. You know what I'm talking about.
You put plates on it and you push it, and it's on.
Yeah. It's a big old flat, thing. Yeah. Man, I was banging them out in the gym. I was banging them out, and I used that because I got to be careful if I were to get under the squat rack and one of the ankles gave. Yeah. But man, I was banging them out. I was working out good. I mean, I even sent Lee, my doctor. I said, "Look what I'm doing," and he's like, as long as it don't hurt, he goes, just, but don't go crazy. But that's impressive. And, but so the point of all that was I was good and healthy. And, I had gone, but right before this moving thing, I don't know what caused it. Sometimes you get triggered into your insomnia and you can't sleep. I was on day 4. For me, that's dangerous because I start hallucinating. I actually sat with the, Grim Reaper one time in my house, my front room. He sat on the other chair, like the little love seat, and I'm sitting there and I see him, and I'm like, at that time I didn't realize I was hallucinating when I would go without sleep a long time. I mean, I learned that, like, when you see something that weird, you're hallucinating, you know. And
Yeah.
so, but still, like with the Grim Reaper, I was sat there and talking with him and cutting up, and he was a cool guy, you know. He had that sickle thing with this thing. He had the whole get up with him, and he was sitting there, and I thought, well, why does everybody think bad of this guy? He's a good guy. So I got up to go make a sandwich, and I asked him, "Do you want one? I'm gonna make a sandwich for anything." And he had like shook his head, or he didn't say anything. But when I came back, he was gone, and I was like, "Where'd he go?" And I'm thinking like, man, that just hallucinate that whole thing, you know. So I mean, that's when I first learned that. And now when I hallucinate, I can catch it. Like if there's a puppy walking upside down on the ceiling, like your little buddy there.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's his name?
Piper.
Yeah, if I were to see, yeah, if I was to see him Piper walking upside down on the ceiling, I'm like, okay, I'm hallucinating. But you still see it. It seems
Yeah.
it's hard to know. If there's something more realistic, like you see a few people in the house, that's realistic. I mean, you might not know that you're hallucinating, but weird shit now, like a dog on the ceiling walking, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going through it. But so all that was said to say, I had caught like a little nap, a little bit of I could tell I was tired, and my friends were coming to help me move. So I was like, well, do I take a little nap, a power nap? It'd be the first any kind of nap in like 4 days. So I thought, well, let me just get as much as I can in, and and I fell right asleep. The next thing I know, I'm waking up and there's paramedics, like 2 or 3, and a couple cops in my apartment in the hotel. And I'm like looking around, and I see my friends, and I'm like, what is going on? And they said, well, you wasn't answering the door. And I'm like, okay, is that against the law? And I guess my friends had told the apartment or the hotel owner or what manager, whatever. He came and opened the door and let everybody, as far as the police and the paramedics. And I mean, I woke up out of who knows, up like deep sleep. I ain't slept in 4 days, so I'm still like not incoherent, trying to put it together. Like what's going on here? And they had said, well, we're going to take you in and evaluate you. I said, take me in where? Because there's police and there's paramedics. I'm like, well, take me in where? And the only thing on my mind is I want to get moved. I got to hurry up and get moved, get out of here. Because, it was like they were giving me one more day to get everything out. And so they had said, well, no, we're going to take you down and evaluate you. And I'm like, no, you're not. I'm not going. And they said, well, you ain't got no choice. I'm like, yes, I do. I'm not going. And they were like, one of the officers said, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And I looked around, seeing, there was like four guys there, and kind of sizable. And I'm thinking, shit, there's too many. I said, all right, well, how long is this going to take? Because I got to get back. They said, well, if you act right, it wouldn't take long at all. 7 weeks later, I'm out of the hospitals because something happened. When I got there, we've actually got video. And the reason I'm saying all this is because everybody keeps telling me I should sue them. And I felt weird about suing, doctors when I'm going to my friends, the doctor, just fixing me up and stuff, So, and actually, when I told him about it, he goes, "I'd rather you would, so that kind of mistreatment don't go on." I walked in. And they didn't even want me doing that. They made me go, which I find out later in Florida laws that they can't make you go. Well, they did. And so one of my friends videoed me walking in the hospital, which they wanted me to stay on the gurney. They took me in the the ambulance truck and got in there. Once they started putting needles, IVs and whatever pills they bring you every few hours, I was so groggy and just like out of it. Evidently, they were giving me something that made me feel good, so I didn't mind. Yeah. No concept of time, and plus, I mean, I feel good when whatever y'all give me more, you know. And so, it turned out to be it was 7 weeks later before they had to let me go because of the insurance purposes or whatever. But the thing was, one of the IVs, and I got the pictures of it. I can't show now, but they couldn't because they kept sticking me so much to draw blood that your veins start what they call collapsing, and uh, they finally it hit one. I think it was on this arm, and they wrapped it up, taped it all up because it wouldn't stay in or something like that. And there's blood just running down out of where they got it bandaged with like clear tape, so you can see the blood in there trapped, but it was also leaking out. And on my side, my right side, hip and all that side of the bed, there's just blood all over there. And I'm laid in that for like a couple of days. I don't know how long. There was finally a male nurse came in and he looked at it. He goes, "Oh my God!" He goes, "I got to take that off. In good conscience, I cannot leave that on." And I'm like, I'm fine with you doing that. Go ahead. But that's just filthy hospital practice, and they say that's where sepsis usually comes from. Is dirty hospitals, and you get any kind of. I had no open wounds except for where they were sticking me with the needles, and so we assumed because I got that on still shots and video of that, and the blood just all over it, and then they leave me laying that. And now that was 2.5 or that was a year and a half ago, and I'm still struggling to be 100. Now I'm actually thinking, hell with it, I will sue him. And plus, my doctor said, Marty, because I showed him the pictures and told him it upset him. He goes, I would much rather you sue them and stop that kind of malpractice from happening. So I forgot what the question was.
Well, now we've used up the time, but that's basically the story on what your health situation is at right now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's weird. It gets better, So I'm getting booked now that I'm getting better. I was starting to get bookings anyway. Now the dark side of the ring is talking and hyping that. Oh my God, there's so many bookings, and that's what I say when the action figures both come out, and whether or not they'll come out at the same time or not, that's for them to decide. Do they want to battle each other, or is that good for them, marketing wise? But whatever the case, and anybody wants to keep up, remember, check me out on MySpace. That's all I got. The other ones, but I never have time to go to them, but not MySpace. Yeah, I said MySpace. I'm sorry, Facebook. And I do have a MySpace still open, but I forgot the damn password. But Facebook. You can check me on Facebook to update, all the projects coming up, and I think we're going to do real good, brother.
Very good. Well, we'll have you back on anytime. Someone doesn't even remember what MySpace was.
Yeah, and I say that a lot too. I'm glad you laughed because I thought, what's funny about it? Oh shit, I said MySpace. But yeah, awesome. And Facebook, and let me say just the last thing. Sorry, it'll be the one in front of. Right? What's that?
I know you have a Twitter too, right?
Yes, I have Twitter and Instagram. But like I say, I just right now, especially, just limited on time. So I usually do my Facebook, and I do get to Twitter and IG, Insta. I do get to them, but not as much. And so the one also, I have I guess you call it a fan site on Facebook too that I don't go to as much.
Is this you and all your women on OnlyFans?
Yeah, I ain't been on that. I was going to go on there just to see what Sasha Banks was about, but then I found out you got to pay. I'm like, well, I don't want to see what she's like. I just want to see what it was all about.
You should honestly do that. Open an OnlyFans of you and your sexual escapades. You'd make a fortune.
Well, I mean, see, if you'll back me on it, I'll do it. And by the way, you got to come on my podcast one of these days. Like once I get it up and going.
For sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I definitely would appreciate that.
Well, I'll let you close this off before we make the agent too pissed off. So we'll give you the last word to the fans here. Good luck with Dark Side of the Ring and everything.
Thank you, man. And last word is just remember, it's always going to be partying with Marty. And on the podcast, but we also are saying party with Marty Light because I'm trying not to do too much partying these days. One, I want to heal, and two, I'd like that part of my life to change a little bit. So when you come on to partying with Marty, party Marty with light beer, light whatever.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest